Hello people, this is Power here to review the Gekisho pen. I forgot the way it's not spelt nor pronounced, but this is the Kamen Saber short movie, whatever the title is. This is the transmission device for PowerRider. I'm just going to go with Falchion, but apparently that's not correct. It's supposed to be like Falchion or something like that. I'm going to have to stick with Falchion until I remind myself like a month later when I actually open this toy. So, the DX Mumeiken Kyomu and the Haken BlaDriver, or for hysterical sakes, the BlaDriver. So obviously, he has a retooled sword driver for some reason. Again, here he is, the Eternal Phoenix Wonder Ride book. Here's the top, the bottom. How much pictures of him do they use? I apologize for the lighting. Do I need to increase my ISO? Okay. I try to keep it under 100. How much pictures of him are there on this box? And the backs, like, I don't know, like the backs this time around just seem really plain, because all they have is just like, just a transformation phrase. It's like, that's not as creative as, you know, what they used to have. But, he has, because this picture, I don't know, I remember what I count out, like, essentially he doesn't have enough pictures, and they keep reusing pictures. Stop it, Premium Bandai, you're a premium product. So here we have all the contents out itself. The Mumeiken Kyomu, the emblem, the Wonder Ride book, the Haken driver itself, and the belt straps for it, which are just, obviously, silver repaints of the Gamer Driver belt straps, so there's not really much to go over. Because I'm still not too big on these belt straps. So, just to get this out of the way. Whoops. There goes the Haken BlaDriver. I literally forgot its name for a second, but I'm struggling with this really badly. But is this how you put? Yeah, this is how you put belt straps on. Like, okay, my belt straps are actually straight, which is why I actually don't want to mess up with them that much. But obviously, just as much as I'm not too big on this, he does use the normal Hisatsu holders, which I just don't really think works. It just doesn't really, like, it makes sense because he does have a driver, but at the same time, I don't really think he needs them necessarily. I just would have preferred if he had the Swords Logos ones, because they actually match a lot better with his silver. And I think this might be the same belt cover. So, get off. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Need to keep that straight. Anyways, let's take a look at the Haken BlaDriver itself. Obviously, it's a very simple retooling of... It's basically the sword driver without the text over here. Instead, you get this nice rough texture, which I actually kind of prefer. And then you get this nice phoenix wing. or Phoenix feathers here to block off the middle and left slots. It looked dumb at first, but honestly, I really like how this looks. The orange plastic is actually really cool. I like how like sleek and glossy it is. It really just works overall. And basically, this is a spoiler. Obviously, because it only operates on the right slot, they got rid of the mechanism here, so it's actually a lot more solid compared to the sword driver. Because my sword driver is broken, literally broken here. Because obviously, if I try to insert hooks here, you know, they don't stay in because I pushed it in too hard and it snapped. And then obviously you have the chrome here, which kind of makes it difficult to see. And then obviously you get the text here. But I don't see, like, this just kind of looked bland. Like, yeah, it's kind of neat, but at the same time it just kind of looked bland. But then the BlaDriver, honestly, they just made this actually look sleek. And like, yeah, they both weight the same, but this one is just actually cooler to like handle because of these Phoenix wings. And I'm just gonna take a look at the Mumeiken Kyomu emblem quickly, just because it doesn't do anything. There's no wonder mark here at all. And I grabbed this one. So here's the emblem comparison. I'm too lazy to actually pull off the actual Rekka emblem, because I was going to compare that with this. So obviously this is the actual Mumeiken Kyomu. Obviously it's just a black repaint of the traditional Seiken, and with some orange. Obviously the only retooled portion is this entire window, because they changed the inner design and the blade. What temperature? What? You never mentioned this. Well, obviously this is just slightly modified, obviously because the original Seiken obviously has all this text here, and the wonder mark is at the tip. However, this is similar to the Kuriyami, where the mark is at the center, or it's, you know, here essentially, because again, another spoiler, they moved the reader from being all three slots to just here, which makes sense. And obviously just snapping. Again, you won't be able to scan this, like, you know, to prove, obviously. You can't scan it. So, just snap it on. There you got the Mumeiken Kyomu. Obviously, the emblems are cross-compatible, but there's not really any point, because it's like, what, you're going to make the Mumeiken Nagare? Obviously, you insert the same, you insert batteries here. They require 3 AAAs. This is still blocked off because this is not a sound update edition. And just simply switch it on like so. You get an orange light. The light here is a lot weaker because it's coming from this corner, and it's attempting to spread across the blade, unlike the traditional Seiken. So we just get one singular slashing sound. And that's it. And then if you insert the Kyomu in the BlaDriver, here you have the full BlaDriver, and I honestly like this. Like, I just like how this flows. It just feels a lot more coherent. And it just, I like how the orange and black work. This is just kind of nice to, like, actually see and such. And then in this mode, if you press the trigger, you just get the insertion sound, just like the traditional Seiken. So yeah, that's really it. And there's obviously the sound I just pointed out, which I forgot to show in the demo, so that's great. Just waiting for the light to die out, because we might as well jump into this now. But if you hold on to the trigger and switch it on, there we get batch, announcing the name of the Seiken, because we enter phrase mode, to which is very similar towards the sound update edition of the Kaigen Rekka. Obviously I'm covering that toy when the series is when it's completely done updating, because it doesn't make sense for me to review it when it's still updating as of June 26th. So yeah, so just like the sound update edition, you get 3 battle cries with each single or slash, which is pretty neat. Actually, I should mention this. Unlike the sound update edition, you do not get any pulse transformation phrases, because typically with the sound update edition, you access that by holding the trigger. You don't get that, sadly. Instead, they cheaped out and put all his phrases within this button, or within the Seiken, or when you have the Seiken in the driver, because technically these phrases to the for the sound edition technically refer to the character not transformed, but for this case they just decided to throw them all here. Now, the instructions, I guess this is just a thing they're not doing anymore with premium Bandai products. They're not giving you a list of dialogue, they say, which is kind of infuriating. And the temperature, woohoo. Okay, so after waiting for a really long time, because it's 1:32, obviously simply going through the phrases, just press the trigger. I feel like he just keeps repeating the same 3 phrases. That's why I got kind of confused, am I done? I'm not. And I should probably say this, I am gonna do, because it is only around 24 phrases, so it's I might as well play them all. Whoops. Isn't that the 3rd time he said that? And that's the last phrase. And also, as you can tell, I already chipped the paint here, which I did not know was possible. So yeah, those are all his phrases, and I'm going to switch it back to the normal mode as we shall jump into this because I forgot we were supposed to. So here we are with the Eternal Phoenix Wonder Ride book, which this one is unique because essentially this one's inverted, which actually makes it cool. There we go, Eternal Phoenix. I really like this Phoenix. Obviously, it's a divine beast. Black Wonder Mark. The Wonder text. The story page. Again, this is a fantastic story page. QR code for Gombarizing. I don't know what these do in Gombarizing anymore. after with the ride watches, like after full bottles where you couldn't actually be able to change the forms, I honestly don't know what they do. I think they only give you like special like bonuses and such. Anyways, here's the transmission page, which is pretty neat. Story activation. And story announcement. So obviously, just like traditional sword driver stuff, we will transform the same way as we just slot it into the only slot we have. Obviously, the Kyomu has its own standby. So there we get the transformation for Falchion, or I'm just gonna stick with Falchion, because I'm not too sure what his name is. So I do like that it is an orange light because surprisingly enough, we don't have any books that activate orange light in the sword driver, so this is actually pretty neat to have. And obviously, to explain the blankness that occurs when you pull this out, obviously, as you can tell, it only says Bateau. It doesn't say Kyomu Bateau because it's a play on the fact that the Mumeiken Kyomu's ability is nothingness, void/nothingness. So I like how much they play on that because, you know, the Rekka, Nagare, and Ikazuchi don't play on their elements, so it's really cool that this one actually does. Obviously, you do the Wonder attack, which this one will be technically the Phoenix Wonder. Obviously, we got our two finishers. Obviously, new finishers, standby, and obviously instead of Dokha, it's Mukduk. Mokudok. And obviously the Giri. And yeah, obviously you can still scan the books. And obviously, because the reader's here, this indeed can read other books. So as you can tell, just like the Kurigami, this actually does read the Wonder Ride books under different names, essentially being like the literal, like what they literally are, and such. And you can indeed, I'm just gonna use Jaku Dragon. You can indeed transform with these books. So as you can hear there, it'll actually have a different jingle, unlike the Kurigami, because it didn't say Eternal Phoenix, it sung Eternal Power. And then to explain this, because I'm not gonna just show them all off because I already did it in the demo, and I only have 30 minutes left on this card. You can. Oh, I probably should have kept it in. It does have a different passage in each category. So obviously this one, because this one's a divine beast, it will say something about it being a divine beast. Obviously with these two, it will say something about this being an animal and say something about this being a story. And I'll just quickly show the finisher. So this is renamed to Jayu. And then things like Kiru no Ongash. This one, instead of being Eternal Power, is now Eternal Wonder. And then obviously the finisher is the same. So, yeah. This essentially has the actual name of because this one's old story and such. I think it's the same as the Kurigami, I don't remember. Obviously, you do have additional stuff when you're in the phrase mode. So I'll transform it again. So there we get, the traditional memorial-esque transformation that the Sound Update edition is missing out on, which is kind of sad. And just to state, when you do the Geki and then the Hisatsu reads, those are the same. The only attack that's actually new, or that you get additional sounds, is with the Giri. And the thing is that this sound in this mode will actually carry over to all the books. Not the transformation, obviously, and such. And before we cut to this thing by itself, I need to show off this thing with the Hisatsu holder. However, I'll actually show it with this one just because his belt strap is actually silver. So it's really cool that, you know, you can do that. It just sucks he never did it. Yeah. So let's take a look at Eternal Phoenix and our two other Seikens. So obviously we're just gonna have Rekka, and I have 29 minutes. Let's just jump into this. Yep. This is not even programmed within the Seiken itself. It's just no Shinju, which is just the generic divine beast, not the giant monster we've been having. So obviously the Suts reads. And you can tell it's generic because it's in a cyan color. So, you know, very generic. The Kuriyami, obviously because it's kind of expected what this is going to do. So here we get Jaku Monster, which is not the first time we're getting it. I'll show off the first one, but yeah. So, how much? I got 27 minutes. Shoot. So yeah, I apologize. This is kind of rushed because I still have a lot to explain, but I have to technically get on with the next video. But essentially, my thoughts overall is that I actually genuinely like this set. I just like how much more easier it is to work than the SwordDriver itself, because I only have to worry about the one slot. The Kyomu is pretty nice, especially with the additional phrases, and just I actually want to point this out. But let me turn this off. I really like the detail of this technically being his other shoulder, because this actually flows really well. So I just like how this looks overall. And obviously the thing with this is that it can still read the Wonder Ride books. Obviously the only hindrance there is that all except for two giant books you cannot insert because of this thing. The only two you can use, or technically the only one you can use, is obviously Kinnobuki Ginnobuki, because this one is singular. However, you can technically use Swordsman. Because of its small factor size, it fits just well enough to for this to be read by the Wonder Mark. So technically, Psycho's books are the only like electronic ones you can actually insert in this thing. Other than that, if you actually want to try to use the giant books, you have to use the Seiken SwordDriver. You can't use the BlaDriver. So that's kind of unfortunate. Although it's just weird how this thing isn't really, as you just heard, this thing isn't really programmed to take in the giant books, because it will just make the sounds. It will just completely ignore them. It's essentially just like the way it programs them in here is essentially like how Jolly Dragon is, which I find that to be weird. I think it's because obviously they knew that, you know, people, I think to them, they wouldn't, I think to Bandai, they wouldn't think most people would attempt shoving things in here to get, or like, using the giant books in here because, it's like you technically can't. But, I forgot to put this back. But, just the fact that it does that is interesting. Like, it at least still reads them, at least. I don't think there's, like, this thing, like, has new phrases for all the Wonder Ride books. Obviously, if you want to watch, or if you want to hear that, obviously watch the demo. But other than that, I actually recommend this. It's I just like this a lot more than the Swordsman, and you don't have to worry about getting like two emblems and such. This thing's all standalone. I feel like it does enough. Obviously, the only lacking thing is just you can't use giant books. So there's a PowerRider, and I'll leave you people. This was completely lacking.